Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com, and I'm here with the composer Dara Taylor from the new Disney Plus series Ironheart. So first off, Dara, could you just give us a bit of an introduction and some of the projects you might have worked on in the past?
Yeah. Hi, Dara. Let's see. Before Ironheart, I've worked on Universal's Strays. I've worked on a variety of Netflix films. The Noel Diary, Meet Me Next Christmas. I did Sony's The Invitation. I co-scored Lionsgate's Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. Um, and yeah, some other fun little nuggets along the way.
Perfect. And did you also work on? Did I read Agent Carter as well? Is that right?
I was the composer's assistant during
I thought
Agent Carter. Yeah.
I was going through the list, and there's always that kind of figure like, is there any other Marvel ones? But that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. So that
So
really was my first introduction to at least Marvel security.
yeah, yeah, they're pretty tight.
Yeah.
How did you get involved in doing music for TVs and movies?
I don't know. It seems like a very improbable job to have. But growing up, I was always in, the school choruses and musicals and bands, and I played really mediocre clarinet like everyone else in the world. And and yeah, I always knew that I loved music, but I didn't really know what to do with it because all I had really done was perform. And I knew that wasn't really where I wanted to end up. But in college, I've always listened to film scores. Like I should have known earlier than I did because my ringtone was the theme from Gone with the Wind. And that's not a normal ringtone to have. But um, I was sitting in my dorm room sophomore year listening to Harry Gregson Williams's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I had this aha moment, which like feels weird. You hear people talk about these moments, but you don't think they're real. And then you have one, and you're like, oh. But it was like a moment where I figured maybe this is it. And I just kind of stubbornly held on. I lived in New York for a while. I did a master's program there in film music. And then I came out to LA a few years after that and, uh, did an internship, volunteered for stuff, and kind of worked my way up the apprentice program, as you might say.
That sounds cool because you've definitely done quite a big range of projects. So how did you come up with the idea of the music for Ironheart?
Yeah, so I mean that was kind of it was a group effort. We know that we wanted to lean into Riri's techie side musically, so there are a lot of kind of synths in there, and a lot of times when you do hear orchestra, you'll also hear some synths doubling the orchestra to kind of, talk about her two sides because it's a lot about her humanity, but it's also a lot about like her mind and her kind of insatiable need for to make and to make something worthwhile and to do something worthwhile. Yeah, so there's big epic orchestra moments, but there's also a decent amount of synth sounds. There's some bucket drums in there from time to time to kind of speak to the Chicago of it all in terms of Riri and her sonic atmosphere. And then when you get to other characters, we kind of go into other realms.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because it's set in Chicago, did the music from there have an influence on the soundtrack as well?
Yeah, I mean, on the score side, I really kind of let the bucket drums be my wink to Chicago, and then the music supervisors did a great job of finding fantastic songs by Chicago-based artists, and that kind of helps round out the environmental aspect
Yes.
of the sonic template. Yeah.
Did you take any influence from like Black Panther Wakanda Forever as well?
Um, it was we really wanted her to have her own sonic identity. There is one moment in episode 3 where actually the script mentioned like having, some kind of talking drums, a la Ludwig's Wakanda score.
Yeah.
But so there's like a little bit of talking drums I add in a spot, but they're processed, and like maybe you can't really tell what they are, but it's kind of a blink or you miss it moment. But like it's kind of relevant to like what she's looking down at. It reminds her of the events of Wakanda Forever. But otherwise, I mean, other than if you want to say that Wakanda Forever, there's a heavy percussive element, and she also has her own percussive element, but instead of African drumming, we have bucket drums and other kind of weird metallic things.
Cool. And also, as you mentioned there, the tech element of the series, there's also quite a bit of magic, especially in sort of the later half. How did that differ from the tech side of things?
Yeah, so for the magic side and kind of the mystery, I wanted to still, maybe lean a little more into the organic, but still have it feel kind of otherworldly. So there are a lot of vocal textures in there, but almost kind of like, a lot of guttural kind of grunting and whispers and things that feel, almost pagan. And then there's a big gothic melody that's more associated with the hood itself and what comes behind that. And yeah, so that's where we even lean a little into horror as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like you say, kind of jumping around a little bit because of the tone of the series. So what was your biggest highlight working on Ironheart?
I mean, it sounds cheesy to say the people, but it was. I had just like a really great time working with absolutely everyone. Working with the producers, Zoe Nagelhart and Zoe Nagelhout, so much heart, and Brad Winderbaum, and the folks over at Proximity, and just everyone. I had it felt like a very it was a very warm atmosphere, and I felt like I was able to stretch a lot of muscles and kind of put my hands in a lot of different pots, and I had kind of the creative license to try weird things. I'm like in my studio, I found like a leather skirt, and I'm like, so it's like there's a lot of like tactileness to things too. So yeah, it was just fun to play.
Let's go. How long have you been working on the project? Because obviously it was originally supposed to come out a couple of years ago. Did that change how much time you had to work on the show?
I mean, I definitely wasn't working the whole time. The bulk of my work was in 2024, a little bit into 2023, but stoppages happen for lots of various reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say the bulk of my work was last year.
Yeah. So how long does it sort of take, from your point of view, to put together a score for like a 6-episode series?
Yeah. So I mean, the first part, the first challenge is coming up with thematic ideas, and then like taking feedback on those and making tweaks. And then once you kind of have those, everyone's on the same page of those. I guess I was on it for about 6 months of actual writing to picture, and then recording and mixing and the whole process. Yeah.
That's cool. What was the biggest challenge working on Ironheart?
I mean, I guess trying to tie together the different sonic ideas and making it still all feel of one show, because they're especially the episodes 1 through 3 are a little lighter than episodes 4 through 6, so kind of dealing with these tonal shifts as things get worse for her.
Yeah, and obviously there is a big twist kind of coming at the end of the series that I don't want to go into too much spoilers for, but did you have to with those particular scenes, did you have to do something a little bit different than you've done for the rest of the series?
Yeah, so I think that is, I've had little sonic hints of what's to come earlier on. Um, but that is when I kind of got to go even further down that road. So, there might have been a melody and like a few of like the, violin motifs and some of the some of the vocal elements earlier, but but they were always like in conjunction with other stuff. And when I got to the end, I was able to kind of strip away some of the other things. It's like all those little things you've been hearing, like here they are, kind of naked and exposed now that we know what's happening.
That's cool. And final question is, obviously Disney has a massive amount of franchise and characters. Are there anything that they make that you would also like to work on in the future?
Ooh. Oh man. Yeah, Disney does everything. I mean, I love animation. So if the gods ever decide to put me in Pixar's path, that'd be fun.
It's always that kind of thing. If it's usually either most people like it's either Star Wars or
Yeah.
or animation, and it's because it's that kind of has that power on us over the years, isn't it? Where it just brings it in. But again, I just want to say a huge thank you for taking your time out to speak to me today about Ironheart. Hits on Disney Plus on June the 24th, and then the second batch drops on the 1st of July. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Later.